Alrighty, folks. Let's dive in. Let me pop over here so you folks can see me. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is VooDoo Val, and I am going to be hosting the Photoshop Daily Challenge, which should be super fun. I hope you guys enjoyed Jack's incredible challenge just before me. That was a blast. I loved it. Definitely going to have to scrub up on my Illustrator skills because I loved what you were making, Jack. I see so many familiar faces in the chat. I see Barbara and Apurva recommending purple. Very bold indeed, Wade, but I think maybe we could make it work. Keys, welcome in. Robert, Clever, hello. Good to see all of you folks. Let's boogie. Yes, yes indeed. So it is spooky season. We are keeping it spooky. I am here. I am ready to create some spooky posters for you. My eyes are sharp today, so you know that I mean business. And let's pop over and take a look at our starter file for the day. Also, let me know if the music is too loud. It's possible. Could not be, maybe. So this is what you will see for challenge number 3. There is a link or an asset ID for a free stock image over on Adobe Stock. If you would like to use the same stock image that I am using for this, I'm going to scooch my chair over just a little bit so I'm in the center of my camera. We're going to create a poster, something like this, and we're going to be using a couple elements that I am really excited about, which will also kind of come into play for our next challenge. So it'll be kind of like a sneak preview for that as well. And when you look at your layers in the challenge, you will not see the ominous dilapidated building image, and you will also not see the test run. These are things that I have created in my own file. You will get the little rundown with the asset ID, and you will also have the background, which I created for you. The stock photo looks like this. This is the original stock photo. If I scroll down here, and you can see this is, I typed in mansion in the free version of Adobe stock free section, I should say. And I did put the asset ID in there so that you can hunt for it easy instead of like having to search for it yourself. So I'm just going to toggle that on, and we're going to start with that. And I'm going to turn off my my information here. And I'm also going to turn off my background. Okay, so let's pop over into this. I'm going to kind of zoom in. So I've chosen this stock photo because it allows us to use like some of our generative features in Photoshop, because really it's just like part of this house. So the first thing that we really want to do is start to kind of resize and maneuver with this thing, because we do want to add the other portion of the house and kind of build this into something that would look good as a kind of poster background. So I'm going to select my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to come over here and snag like from half of my mansion across to the other side of my canvas. And in my contextual taskbar, which if you are not seeing contextual taskbar, you can go up to Window, and scroll all the way down, and there should be contextual taskbar there. Mine's checked because mine's showing, and if yours is not, then that's where it is. And I'm going to hit generative fill, and we can do a couple of tests here. I could just write like right side of the mansion if I wanted to, but I think technically it would probably generate if I just hit generate. Like I think it would probably kind of know what to fill in there, which we will also do some generations that do not involve typing in prompts a little later on, and we'll see how it goes. But you can see it's kind of generated. Actually, that's not bad. Not bad. Okay, I'm gonna also come in here to the second view of Photoshop just by making sure I've clicked outside of my canvas and hitting F. Because I want to be able to move this fluidly around to make room for some of the other things that I'm going to be doing. That's actually not bad. I don't know if I want that whole other side of that, so we can kind of click through and see what we got. I like this one as well, but I don't like the brightness too much, or maybe that doesn't really matter because we're going to be kind of altering the color a little bit. So let's see what the third one is. Also not bad, pretty darn symmetrical if I do say so myself. And I think that when you know, you could use a little more video editing or, excuse me, photo editing, photo compositing, because when you look in really close, some of these things are a little wonky, and you can alter those as you see fit. But since this is going to be a focal point, but not something that's super zoomed in on, I don't really mind. I think we'll go with this one actually. And what I'm going to do next is, and this is a personal preference of mine as I'm working with generative layers, if I know that I'm not really going to come back to one of the variations, then sometimes I will convert this into a smart object. I would suggest maybe grouping and duplicating that group before doing so, just in case you do want to come back to all of your variations. Which, by the way, I would really like to highlight one thing on here is that you can actually use the enhance detail button now on a lot of the generations. So if I go ahead and enhance that detail because maybe I want to kind of bump it up a little bit and see what it gives me. Sometimes, depending on what I'm working on, sometimes it gives me a lot of detail, and kind of changes it completely, and sometimes it looks relatively the same. I think it really depends on your subject matter using this, so it's kind of up to you if you feel like that is necessary. I'm sure my video camera is a little bit choppy at this point because my computer is thinking. But yeah, we'll just give it a little bit of time to think, or, I mean, yeah, not what I wanted. Not what I wanted. Like I said, sometimes it's hit or miss, but there is an enhanced detail button now, and you can also come in here to something that I've actually been employing often, and that is generate similar. So if you find something that you really like, and you're like, okay, I really like how this one went, and I definitely want to tell it to generate similar, I think that is a really great addition to generative features within Photoshop that is maybe a little more similar to how Firefly works. I like that, actually. That's actually really cool. We can kind of toggle. This one might do it. Let me zoom out. Ooh. We might need to go with that one, actually. Okay, so I'm just holding Shift and selecting my layers here, and I'm gonna say Control G or Command G if you are on a Mac, and then I'm going to Control or Command J to duplicate. We'll hide our group, and I'm gonna turn this into a smart object so I can just work with the same image. And then we are going to start adding in our sky. If the children of the corn were bit by a werewolf, would they become corn dogs? Clever. I think that you do get points for that. I'm not liking that pun, says Wade. You guys are too much. You guys are professionals. Okay, so I'm gonna come in and add in the sky. This is gonna be another one where we do actually add in a prompt. So I'm gonna say dark swirling storm clouds because I want something, you know, dark and dramatic back there. So let's hit generate and see what we get. And hopefully, I've done this a couple of times and I'll show you my little test run file towards the end. Yeah, so I used the word swirling, so I kind of got a thing like this instead of just like, I mean, when I think of swirling storm clouds, I don't think of like an actual swirl, you know, but this is kind of cool. It is a movie poster, so maybe we can find something that works here. I don't think this one's gonna go. It looks too smashed in there. That's kind of neat. We can go ahead. Now, I could do generate similar, but I think I'm just going to do like a regenerate and see if it comes up with something else. And if we don't get one that's like very dramatic like this, then I will take the word swirling out of my prompt. Not bad. This one, the preview for that one looks kind of interesting. This one looks kind of cool. Honestly, that's not bad. I know that it's weird, But like if I zoom in here, I do kind of like how the clouds do swirl up, almost like something bad is happening at this house and we can put a focal point here. Now something that I did in the original, now I'll bring this up top, I did add like a steeple to it. I wonder if we could add more of the house and see if we can put something there. I'm not sure. So let's come over. I'm actually going to come to not the generative layer. I don't know if this will work, but we're going to try it. I'm going to drag a little box on the layer below. Maybe. No, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and convert this to a smart object. I'll be able to open it up if I want to, so I could double click and it will open what I converted all together into a smart object, so I can come back and edit if I want to. But let's go ahead and say tall, oops, I need to hit generate first. Let's say tall bell tower. Is bell tower one word? Looming above the mansion. Let's see if this gives us a little height on it, right? I'm glad it has a positive impact on your ratings. Howling bad, in fact. Oh dear. Okay, I'm not sure if I wanted something that bright, but that is like perfectly, ooh. Uh-oh. I really like this. I just wish it wasn't white, but let's go ahead and let's do the generate similar and see if it actually gives us something a little bit similar. Because I do love that. I think that that's like the perfect height, so it doesn't really distract from like the big swirling thing going on in the background. I just need it. It is gonna generate white. I love this. Let's do one, and let's say tall, dark bell tower looming above the mansion. Let's see. Actually, let's do it here. Tall. Oh no, it's there. I just added it. Perfect. All right. Let's see if it will give me something that I like just as well. And if it does, then we can go with that and we will kind of slow down on the generations. Not horrible. Let's just change the color of this one, of this one right here. Let's just change the color for that one. So what I'm gonna do actually, and I did not plan this portion in the prep for this, but I'm gonna see if my object select tool, nice, will allow me to select it. And so that was just, you'll probably see the magic wand tool there. So I just grabbed the object selection tool, which you can access by right clicking that and selecting it from there. And I am going to, since there's a mask on this already, I'm going to grab a selection tool, right click, select inverse, hit B on my keyboard to access my brush, and I'm making my brush larger with the bracket keys. And I'm going to grab my black color, and I'm just going to mask that out, and Control or Command D to deselect. Very cool. And then I wonder if we could get away with, I guess technically we could make a new layer. I'm doing Control Shift in or Command Shift in, which opens up my little layer box here. And I could Control or Command Shift G to transform that into a clipping mask. And then I could sample a color from the house here and see if a blending mode will turn it to a proper color. I'm not super married to making this look uber cohesive. I want to make that clear, and you'll figure out why once we get into more of the design elements. It's really because it doesn't need to be. We're gonna change so much about this that it's not really gonna look like a photograph anymore. I don't know. Hard light isn't bad, I just need it to be darker. What if we select something darker? That's too purple. Good enough. Good enough for me. All right. I'm going to convert that one to a smart object. You do not have to convert to smart object every time you add a generative layer. I just, like I said before, I like to do that. I like to be working on one solid piece. And then we're just going to extend the grass a little bit. And this is one of those where I'm not even going to add anything to the prompt. You see it says optional. That's because if I click it, then it'll just kind of do its own thing. It'll kind of read what's there and be like, is this what you want? And hopefully it knows that I want grass. Yes, it knows that I want more grass. I can be a little picky with how much grass I want. I think this one's just fine. And I kind of almost want there to be a little bit more space. And I don't know if it will, because I didn't generate that very large. I don't know if it will fill majorly up to the top. Let's see, maybe we'll get lucky, because this is about the ratio that I'm looking for, and then we're going to change some colors. Not bad. Perfect. Perfect. We can kind of flip through a couple of these. I'm satisfied with that one. That's perfect. Let's make this a smart object. Boom. I'm going to delete this layer and this layer, and we are going to continue here. Now, there's a lot of ways, because I'm going to kind of change the colors here. There's a lot of ways that you can change colors for things in Photoshop. I think you guys know. We could hit Control M to open curves, which will alter things a little bit. You can alter by color if you want to. In fact, I think curves is going to serve us on RGB here well enough just to kind of brighten this up, because there's a lot of dark spaces, and I do want to change the contrast of those values a little bit so that when we add major color later, it's easier to do that. You could also come down here next to your layer mask button. You could come into color balance and you can alter the colors in that way. But really what I want to go for is a poster type vibe here. And what I'm going to do is posterize it and use a gradient map. So this is one of those classic filters in Photoshop that I'm sure everybody has probably used one of these filters at some point in your Photoshop journey or another. And I think they're technically considered like kind of old style filters, but honestly, I use them often. I really do, especially the posterize. If I need to make something look vaguely artistic, you can see we can come in here and we can decide the number of levels between 1 and 8, and that will just allow us to kind of get more detail. I actually think that I might keep it bumped up to 8. Just so that we have the maximum amount of posterized layers. You will also see that it's showing everything, not just what shows on my canvas. So if you have smart objects, which we do, anything that hangs off the canvas will show here. So don't let that distract you too much from your main focus. You can change the edge simplicity if you want, which might totally ruin your piece depending on what kind of vibe you're going for. So I typically keep it at the bottom. You'll see my windows will come back, all the grass details will come back. And the edge fidelity as well. If you want it to be less defined, then you can crank it down to 1, although I really would not recommend that because it doesn't always look super great. So I'm satisfied with this. We've got everything kind of on its own little piece. We can say okay. And now we're going to transform the colors a little bit. So let's go over to image adjustments, gradient maps. Who said purple earlier? I do have my branding colors, honestly, and I love using my branding colors, which is what I used for the earlier one. But what you will see when you come in here is you will see basics, blues, purples, pinks, reds, oranges. And as I have kind of pointed some of these out in previous challenges, all you have to do if you want to create your own gradient map is select some colors that you like, maybe come down here and add some alternate colors to it just by tapping. You can start to kind of play with how these colors work together. if you like. And if you decide that you've created something that you really love, which I don't really love this, but if you do, then you can name it here and then hit the new button, and that will add another gradient map for you. But I'm gonna stick with my branding colors. I'm gonna say okay, and I'm gonna reverse this because clearly it's a little wonky. We're gonna zoom out so we can see our whole piece here, and I'm gonna come back and edit a little bit. I think I'm gonna bump the purple down. I think I'm gonna bump the green down. And I'm gonna bring this like tan peachy color in a little bit. I really want more detail in between these layers, just so I can really start to build that contrast and see the difference between each layer. I want there to be like a clear delineated range between the sky and the mansion, if possible. Maybe something more like this would work. Kind of bring the purple up a little bit. So there's like, okay, there's a mansion. I feel like I could have made the bell tower a little brighter, but that's okay. In fact, what I could do just real quick, how much time do we have left? I think we're getting to the end. Okay, we got about 4 minutes. In fact, what I could do actually is I could come over and just snag this and duplicate it, and Control or Command L to open levels, and I could brighten that a little bit. Just that specific part, if I wanted to, which that's good enough for me. I think with a lot of these challenges, we would spend a little bit more time on things if we really wanted to, in fact, actually, what I could do is do I was just about to tell you we're not going to be too precious with it, and then here I am being precious. We can do that, and we can put that on a darken layer. Boom. So now the tower is like the same kind of green we're using. And then we're going to add some text. So I am going to be doing a text showcase challenge next week, and I'm going to show you some of the cool font stuff that we're going to be doing. I'm just going to use a font called Abolition for the bottom here. I'm going to take this text that it generates, like the lorem ipsum that it generates, and I'm going to add a couple of these down here, change the text color to this orange, only because what I really want is for it to look like movie text down here. So it doesn't have to say anything specific just yet, but that starts to look like the bottom of a movie poster, which is kind of cool. And then this is the font that I have fallen in love with. It is an Adobe font called CC Primal Scream, and it is delightful. So let's let me go ahead and transform and just kind of make this larger, and let's switch this to Primal Scream. I love Primal Scream. It has got layers to it, so I can do an outline layer. I can duplicate that. I can change the color to, let's change it to that green. And then let's change, instead of outline, let's do regular. So now you can see we're starting to layer it. And then let's duplicate that again, select it. Let's change it to this kind of creamy color, and let's change this to fill. And you can see it makes like this cartoon stacked, like spooky thing here, and I just absolutely love it. So we can call this, I'm going to call this, honestly, what I would love to have named it is something else instead of lorem ipsum, but we're kind of coming to a close here. So I'm just going to put this here underneath. I will tap again, and we will do the number 7, and we'll say that this movie is called Lorem Ipsum 7. Why not? Spooky enough for me. And then we'll make this uber large, so it's kind of like a classic title. Maybe there would be something else over here. Return of, you know, Lorem Ipsum 7. I don't know why they made 7 of these movies, but they sure did, and I really love it. So that is all the time that I have for you folks. Thank you so much for sticking around. I do have to take off before I get cut off, and I don't want that to happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and I will see you folks next week for Halloween stuff, folks. Halloween is the next challenge, and I'm so excited. I'll see you guys then. Adios.